What's going on with gold? In case you haven't heard, gold demand is skyrocketing. We're seeing record-breaking numbers. Global gold demand just hit its highest level ever, and prices have surged to all-time highs above $3,000 per ounce. From Wall Street to Main Street, everybody is piling into gold. Why? Well, today we're breaking down the 5 huge reasons behind this gold rush, and why you might want to join in. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll explore 5 powerful factors driving a massive surge in gold buying in 2024-2025. These range from economic storm clouds and inflation to geopolitical chaos and even moves to sideline the US dollar. We'll unpack each reason in simple terms, citing recent headlines and expert insights along the way. Stick around for all 5. Number 5 might surprise you, and it could change how you think about protecting your money. All right, let's dive in. Reason 1, economic storm clouds. Recession, fears, fueling safe haven demand. When the economy looks shaky, smart money runs for cover, and gold is the safe harbor. Right now, investors see dark clouds on the horizon, recession warnings, market volatility, and financial stress. In fact, global economic uncertainty has spiked to levels not seen since the peak of the COVID crisis. Think about recent headlines: banks wobbling, stock markets jittery, and talk of a downturn. It's no wonder people are rushing into gold as a safety net. Just look at what's happening. Gold just blasted past the psychological $3,000 mark as geopolitical and economic jitters sent investors rushing into the safe haven asset, according to Reuters. With talk of trade wars and unpredictable policies, stock markets have been selling off, and investors are flocking back to gold to ride out the storm. As one investment CEO put it, gold is considered an insurance policy and source of liquidity in difficult market environments. In plain English, when everything else looks risky, gold offers peace of mind. Importantly, these recession fears aren't just theoretical, they're translating into action. Western investors are returning to gold in droves when equities stumble and risks rise. History shows that during crashes or crises, gold often holds its value or even rises, while other assets tank. That track record has people buying gold now to prepare for whatever comes next. If a major economic downturn hits, those holding gold hope to be shielded from the worst of the fallout. Reason 2, stubborn inflation. Hedging against soaring prices. Chances are you've felt it at the grocery store or gas pump. Inflation has been brutal. Over the past couple of years, prices surged at the fastest pace in decades, sharply eroding our purchasing power. And even as central banks fight to tame it, inflation is still running hotter than many of us are comfortable with. This is a classic reason people turn to gold. When paper money buys you less each month, gold's enduring value shines as a hedge. Gold tends to spike in times of high inflation, and we're living through exactly that kind of period. In 2022-2023, inflation rates hit multi-decade highs in the US and Europe, and while they've come down from their peak, they remain above target in 2024. Investors remember the 1970s when runaway inflation sent gold soaring, and they see echoes of that now. In fact, gold's recent run-up is reminiscent of those times. The metal jumped 35% in 2024, on track for its best year since 1979, a year synonymous with inflation turmoil. That's a clear signal. Inflation fears are alive and well, and gold is benefiting. Think about it this way. Cash in your bank account loses value when inflation strikes, but gold has a track record of holding its worth. That's why gold is often dubbed an inflation hedge. Investors big and small are buying gold bars, coins, and ETFs to protect their wealth from the silent thief of inflation. Even recent policy moves are stoking these fears. For example, new trade tariffs and supply chain troubles are expected to fuel fresh price increases, adding yet more gasoline to the inflation fire. Gold, in contrast, can't be printed or inflated away, making it a solid store of value when currencies are losing their buying power. If you're worried about the dollars in your wallet not stretching as far tomorrow, this is exactly why everybody is hedging with a bit of gold today. Reason 3, geopolitical chaos, war and conflict drive safe haven buying. Turn on the news any given week, and it feels like the world's on edge. Russia's war in Ukraine, tensions in the Middle East, rivalry between superpowers, geopolitical conflicts are dominating headlines. This constant turmoil has investors worldwide seeking refuge in gold. Why are they doing that? Because in times of war or political strife, gold is the ultimate safe haven, a tangible asset that isn't tied to any one country's fate. We've seen this dynamic play out dramatically. The Ukraine invasion in 2022 was a turning point. It unleashed a wave of gold buying that hasn't let up. Governments and investors alike snapped up gold after seeing how quickly currencies and assets can get caught in sanctions and instability. And the trend only intensified as new geopolitical flare-ups arose. As one analyst bluntly noted, gold loves uncertainty. The world is changing and long-standing norms are at risk. That pretty much sums it up. When the international order feels shaky, people run to gold for stability. In 2024 and 2025, global risk factors have only grown. Trade disputes between major powers are back in the mix, adding another layer of uncertainty on top of military conflicts. Gold is benefiting from a backdrop of geopolitical uncertainty and ongoing tariff changes, which keeps appetite for the metal strong. Essentially, every time there's a headline about conflict or diplomatic drama, it strengthens the case for owning gold. Investors know that gold tends to rise when other assets are threatened by geopolitical events. Unlike stocks or even currencies, gold isn't directly shackled to any government's policies, and that independence becomes precious when politics turn volatile. So whether it's anxieties about global wars or even election turmoil at home, millions are buying gold as a form of crisis insurance. It's an asset you hope you won't need, like a life jacket, but you're sure glad to have it when storms hit. Reason 4. Interest rate pivot. The return of easy money boosts gold. This one is a bit counterintuitive, but stick with me. After a year of brutal interest rate hikes, the tide is turning, and that's great news for gold. Central banks, like the US Federal Reserve, raised rates aggressively to fight inflation, which normally would be a headwind for gold. Higher interest rates make interest-bearing assets more attractive relative to gold, which yields nothing. But now here in 2024-2025, those rate hikes are slowing and even reversing. We've likely hit peak interest rates, and markets expect rate cuts ahead. This pivot in monetary policy is pouring fuel on gold's rally. Why? Because when rates fall, the appeal of gold rises. Gold, which pays no interest, becomes more attractive in a low-interest environment. The opportunity cost of holding gold drops as yields on bonds and savings accounts decline. In late 2024, we saw exactly this dynamic. As soon as the Fed hinted at easing up, investors flooded back into gold. Western investors who had sat on the sidelines during the rate hike storm flocked back to gold as central banks started cutting interest rates. Notes Juan Carlos Artigas of the World Gold Council. Gold prices, which had been hovering, took off like a rocket. By October 2024, gold was hitting record highs, and analysts directly credited low interest rates as a key support for the rally. And there's more. Falling rates often go hand in hand with a weaker dollar. In early 2025, for example, the Fed had already slashed rates by about 1% since the fall. This helped knock the US dollar off its highs, since lower rates make the dollar less appealing to hold. A weaker dollar typically means a stronger gold price, since gold is priced in US dollars. It's a classic inverse relationship, and it's playing out now. Traders are doubling down on bets that the Fed will cut rates further this year, which is keeping the dollar under pressure and gold soaring. The bottom line? The era of easy money looks to be creeping back, and gold absolutely thrives on it. If interest rates continue to ease through 2025, that removes a huge weight that was holding gold down, unleashing even more demand from investors seeking higher returns. This is a big reason so many people are loading up on gold before the full-fledged rate cuts arrive. They want to be ahead of the curve, positioned in gold before those cuts kick in and potentially send prices even higher. Reason 5. Currency devaluation and de-dollarization, the flight to hard assets. Our final reason is a biggie and a bit of a paradigm shift. Around the world, There's a growing concern about currency stability, not just with inflation, but with the very value and dominance of currencies like the US dollar. Years of heavy money printing, think pandemic stimulus, and exploding national debts have raised fears that fiat currencies could lose significant value over time. At the same time, global power shifts are underway. Countries in Asia, the Middle East, and elsewhere are seeking to reduce their dependence on the dollar-centric financial system. In response to these trends, everyone from regular folks to central banks is turning to gold as the ultimate store of value. Here's a stunning fact. Central banks accounted for about 1/4 of all gold demand in 2022 and 2023, buying over 1,000 tons each year. This is an unprecedented buying spree by governments worldwide. Why are they doing it? A lot of it boils down to diversifying away from the US dollar and guarding against currency risks. Gold is seen as a politically neutral, safe asset that can't be manipulated or frozen by foreign powers. For example, after witnessing Western sanctions freeze Russia's dollar reserves in 2022, many nations realized that holding too many dollars or US bonds could be a liability. Their answer? Pile into gold, which no government can debase or seize at will. This de-dollarization movement is real. China, Russia, India, Turkey, these and other emerging economies have been massively increasing their gold reserves over the past decade. Even US allies like Poland and Hungary started buying gold to shore up confidence in case of currency crises. Central banks have now logged 3 consecutive years of 1,000+ ton gold purchases, 2022, 2023, 2024. A streak never before seen. Such heavy hitters entering the gold market send a loud message. Gold is the preferred hedge against long-term currency depreciation and geopolitical rifts. And it's not just governments. Individual investors are taking note. There's a growing lack of trust in paper money when trillions can be printed in a click. Gold, with its finite supply, offers an antidote to that anxiety. As one IMF official put it, countries, and by extension investors, are loading up on gold to hedge against the risk of a fragmented, unstable financial order. In simple terms, people fear the dollar and other currencies won't be king forever, so they're securing some gold now while they can. It's a bet on the timeless value of a hard asset over the promises of politicians and central bankers. So ask yourself, if even central banks, the entities that print money, are hoarding gold to protect against currency risk, shouldn't you and I at least consider doing the same? This sweeping shift in how wealth is stored is a huge reason behind the current gold rush. So, there you have it. 5 huge reasons everyone is buying gold right now, from recession anxieties and inflation to geopolitical chaos, an emerging easy money cycle, and big players hedging against currency risks. It's a convergence of factors we haven't seen in decades, all pointing to gold as a refuge and asset of choice. Gold has reclaimed its glow in 2024-2025, and it's not just by accident, it's driven by these powerful trends we just discussed. Now, does this mean you should run out and convert all your savings to gold? Not necessarily, but it does mean you should pay attention. The case for owning some gold has never been stronger according to many experts, and countless investors are already acting on these signals. At the end of the day, keeping a portion of your portfolio in a time-tested safe haven asset can be a smart move when uncertainty is everywhere. So, if you found this deep dive informative and eye-opening, do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more insights on protecting and growing your wealth. Join the conversation in the comments. Do you think the gold boom will continue? And are you considering buying gold, or have you already? We'd love to hear your take. Remember, opportunities often belong to those who stay informed. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe and savvy. Happy investing, and maybe consider adding a little shine to your portfolio with some gold.